offices, 1440 Rochester Road, Addison Township. Today is June 20th, 2022. If we could all stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for the hope that your love brings. Thank you for the people in our audience, both of them, who are here tonight and want to do well for our community, and also your will, God. Lord, we need your wisdom, Lord. We ask that you would bless our families. You would keep our tender care. God, we ask this in your name, Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Jacob Moody.
Here.
Karen Bible, excused. Linda Garrick.
Present.
Ed Wakefield.
Here.
Lori Fisher. Here. Bennett present. Supervisor Pearson.
Here. Okay. Any announcements?
No.
No. Department reports, as usual, available in my office. Just contact myself or my deputy supervisor, Jamie. We're going to petitions.
None.
Order of business, approval of the agenda.
Yes, I have a couple amendments to the agenda. 4A, proposed change of site plan cemetery benches location. 5, Leonard Festival Committee for $500 as partial reimbursement for the portable bathrooms from the community projects account. 6, authorize the closure of the township with pay for up to 2 days or as determined by the supervisor for paving of the paved parking lot project.
I'll make a motion.
Second that. Go ahead.
I'll make a
second.
motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second. Wait a minute, what you
On the
know?
motion, and support, any further comments? Not hearing any? Go ahead, roll call, please.
Yes. Jacob Moody.
Yes.
Linda Garrick.
Yes.
Ed Wakefield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. Consent agenda.
Yes, a few items on the consent agenda would be the approval of the May 16th, 2022 minutes, approval of the bills, resolution adopting/affirming the 2022-23 healthcare benefits, appointments to the Oakland County Broadband Committee, Jacob Newby and Pauline Bennett as alternate, appointment of temporary building official building inspector for Randy Warnock, authorize $683 for Marine Patrol from the police fund, 221 court fees, MTA dues and online learning center for $8,752.61 from dues and fees.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Every agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as
Okay.
I'll support.
We have support. Okay. Any comments? No comments? Roll call, please.
Linda Garrick.
Yes.
Ed Wakefield.
yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item number 2. I guess PEA, Mike is out here, and he came up with the design, and tonight we're kind of opening this up for discussion for an improvement for the park, next to the parking lot. As you know, we're going to apply for a grant for this. We do have some of the money from the rescue money that we're going to put into this that we had authorized set aside. But what we're looking for is just input on some of the things that we'd like to put in the park there so that when we apply for the grant, probably through the trust fund, DNR trust fund. And so if anybody's got anything, this is open for discussion. You can see the print of kind of what Mike from PEA came up with. Does anybody have any comments on it?
I've got a comment.
Yes.
We had a little get together with friends, and I hear nothing but good things about this. The one thing they ask is who would be a contact person here? Would it be Pauline?
Fuller.
Park. if somebody had a question about the park or something, I said call Pauline.
For the grants? I
No,
would say
no, just
yes.
ideas and what it's going in it and everything like that. They needed to,
Yeah, that would
anybody,
work.
and I said, just call Pauline, she'll tell you. But they like the idea that, what's it called, pickleball?
Well, we did get some donations, generous donations from some of the residents for the pickleball already. They wrote some checks. I gotta bring those in. But,
So I contacted Oxford and they said their pickleball court is just full every day. So that's a good idea that Karen had with the pickleball. As far as, I think everybody could see that there's like a vacant area towards the east. I don't know how everybody feels about that, but I'm kind of leaning towards a volleyball court because
Where are
I
you
think
looking
right over in here,
Oh,
there's room
right
for a
next to-
volleyball court. I talked to Mike about that. He said that's not gonna be a huge expenditure. That way then families can actually play volleyball, or if it's early evening, I can see teenagers possibly coming out. Because it seems like this park that we're trying to design here is through all ages, but yet I think we're missing it with the teenagers. So I kind of would like to see the volleyball court in there. I have more ideas, but I want to see other people's
I've got
suggestions.
another question. Is this thing gonna be closed at night or dusky dark, or is it gonna be lit up?
no, it will be closed at dark. We don't wanna have it open at night.
Okay.
Seasonal as well.
I have one suggestion is that we add porta-john somewhere.
I think we can do that. I think that if we did put them out, I think it would be wise that if we put some kind of a barrier around them so they don't just stand out there. And I'll have, if that's what somebody was interested in, I'd have to get a hold of the company. And I'd like a little better ones than what we typically get. Maybe we can get the ones that are just a tad bit bigger.
I was gonna suggest whole real ones, but.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So I think we need a consensus on some of these ideas because he's gonna have to go to the drawing board. And would porta-john actually be on a site plan, or is it something that we're gonna check into on our own? It's not really gonna be applicable to a grant.
Well, I think the pathway to it would be, I mean, if we had a pathway versus just sitting in the grass, I mean, I think it needs to be a space allocated. The other concern I had was about these trees on the east side. I think, we have shade on the east side already. I think the trees really should be on the west side if we are gonna put trees in there, just because that's where you need the shade in the afternoon. I think the way the sun comes through there, that's kind of, which maybe we should eliminate the trees, or it just seems silly to put them on that side.
Which, you're not talking the ones that border Rochester Road, you're talking about the trees that are on where the
The
place
east
is?
side, on the east side of the playscape, it seems like if we could maybe shift it around a little bit. We did put some trees maybe to shade seating, where a seating area might be, so that would be my suggestion. I just don't see any reason to put all these trees over on the east side. It's just gonna make that area kinda just all shade. I mean, for the volleyball people, I know they actually like to be in the sun and.
Yeah, I agree as far as the trees, that's just more maintenance, in the leaves and the,
Too many trees. I'd like to see the trees that are in the entrance. They're flowering trees. I think it would correspond with our area that we have in our entrance for the building. What trees we want to remove would be a good question. Because there's a bunch of trees that are by Rochester Road as well.
I think there's too many there.
Too many, and there's too many even where Linda is talking about. There's just too many trees. Because we want this to be an active park, but yeah, I can see where we're gonna have to have some shade.
I think shade around the seating areas, and I'd like to see seating areas where the bocce ball and the pickleball courts are. And then like shade trees around, say, the center of the playground somehow, maybe an evergreen, something to block that west sun.
Yep.
I was a little confused. Do you enter where the circular?
Yes.
Okay. So that's closer to the kids area where they could possibly escape, and a very far walk to the bocce ball courts. But I understand from the way everything's situated, it kind of falls out like that. But the farther north that we could possibly move that entrance so that it's not so far to walk to the courts. And I think a volleyball court is a great idea also, so I was kind of wondering though if we could rotate clockwise that playground set, put the 2 to 5 year old playground set towards the back so that there's no chance that they could run out to the parking lot, and then put the volleyball court in the open space that could create.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea too. I think if we could put the playground a little further east and then work with that open area.
Well, there will be a fence all the way up, a new fence all the way around, so that nobody should be going out into the parking lot.
Well, it does just seem to me like it's a really far walk, and maybe we could move the entrance more to the north.
But the walk is, okay to do because that's why we're having that walkway. The entrance, and I'm gonna just share why he put the entrance here, because he's trying to tie it together with the gazebo in hopes people will actually start using the gazebo and possibly have some picnic tables out there, which we would do on our own. So he kind of wanted to bring it down a little bit because the gazebo's been sitting there with no use. So I think that's why he did that.
Well, and I think if we make these types of improvements to the park, though, people would use the gazebo. I'll see
Yeah.
people out there on a summer day, they use that just for shade.
And then if we move the play area too far to the east, if we are gonna go with the small version of the splash pad, the piping's gonna be a lot longer, because I think he was trying to keep the small version of the splash pad closer to where possibly the fire department's pipes are.
Well, and speaking of splash pads, I hope that we think long and hard if we go down that road, just the problems with maintenance and upkeep, and looking at the price, $100,000 for a splash pad with 55-degree well water. I don't think that seems like a
It's not
great
the
idea.
typical one that we used to have, that we were proposing. This one's very small and it's just for basically the little kids. But the 2 to 5 year old playground is, just so everybody sees, the 2 to 5 year old playground is way up in this section. So here's the entrance. So he has that separated, and then the 5 to 12 is down lower. And then when you look at it, I believe that he has fencing, where is that? I thought he had fencing around the play area as well. So I don't, unless there's a really big reason to move it, I think he's okay there. Because once we move this way over here, I guess he can do some, try to figure out if the volleyball court would fit.
Well, and just for safety, it just seems like we could rotate that whole area possibly. So
But
that,
Lori, when you're saying rotate, you want it to go diagonal or actually move the entire unit somewhere?
rotate it clockwise so that the 2 to 5 year old playground would be towards the east side of the park. If that separates and makes more room.
So this would actually be bumped up.
No, we're talking about just moving it to the right, the top part of it.
Well, you want it closer to the
Well-
other places, right? So that,
To fit in a volleyball court where you've got a ball being spiked.
And
But then if you-
is your suggestion based on eliminating the water feature?
I would prefer to eliminate the water feature no matter what, I suppose.
But the rotation would necessitate that.
No. No, I just thought that would make more room. But maybe he has some ideas if the volleyball court should run north and south or east and west, because that would actually probably situate it east and west where somebody's got their sun in their eyes.
I think we need to take some consensus on some of these items so that we know.
This pollinated garden too, I mean, that's like a lot of bees and stuff.
That goes by my book.
We just put it over in the township area, if we wanted more of those type of plants.
Well, no, because that would be eligible, I mean, if we wanted to do it at another time, but the Spark grant is just for the recreation. So to move it outside of this, I don't think it'll be eligible, but if we kept it in there, we could, but
No, I mean, it's
just
just,
like, no.
it's like, I think all of us, Mary probably, if she saw this, would be able to say, yeah, I have all that in my yard. We can just move some over.
And then with the 55, because we're gonna cut a lot of the trees out and the landscaping out, with the 55,000 that you save with that one, I mean, these are loose estimates, would be over half of the splash pad.
I'd like to eliminate the pollinator garden only because that's more maintenance, and I'm already having trouble getting people to do maintenance on things outside, the restrooms and different things. I mean, just getting somebody to do all the maintenance around the actual building here has not been easy.
I think the seating looks really cool that he designed. So
I planted
I
the
guess
flowers
I'm,
out front. I'm tired of doing that. But I know Pat knows how to.
You'll be lassoing me.
I did really well until I tried to get up.
Is this park open to everyone?
Yes,
And there'll be no fees?
no fees. Especially if you get a DNR grant. It's gotta be open to everybody and it can't, you're not supposed to charge either, so.
could we find out who wants these small splash pad in or out? Because that's gonna make a difference where the location is.
Well, I think before we decide that, we better find out from the health department, first of all. I remember, I hope they haven't changed all their rules on it, but if you put a splash pad in, if it's recycled water, then it's gotta be tested every couple times a day. And this is not that type. This is one where the water comes right out of the well and then it pipes down to the river, okay? So it's just a fresh water coming out, and like you said, it will be 55 degrees. But if you look at the, if you look at the one picture of the splash pad just in the bottom where it just comes up from the bottom, the kids do run through that, and they run back and forth, and at 55 degrees, that doesn't matter to them because they're not in the water. But the ones I've seen do have like sometimes an alternating different spray where it comes up and down, and sometimes that's intriguing to the kids. But as far as, like you say, over in Oxford, actually with all the spraying things and everything, at 55 degrees is cold. So I'm just looking at a simple one with the sprays that come up out of the ground.
That one's huge, and that one's a lot of fun. I mean, the kids really enjoy it, but yeah, this is, small in comparison, just for something for the kids to cool off with.
Put a sprinkler on.
So what about the deciduous hedge? That's another pollen, I would say, attraction. Are we gonna get rid of that since we already have a site plan that they're supposed to have trees there?
Which one are you talking about?
So this is the shape of the fire department. So he's proposing to put hedges there, and it looks like they're flowering hedges. And it is close to where either gonna play bocce ball or, depending upon volleyball, or where the little kids are gonna be. So it's in this L-shaped type thing. Would we eliminate that as well?
Isn't there a dumpster there?
I don't think that's the case.
I think it's pretty close, so I think that's hiding a pretty unattractive area. So I think it's important to have something there that you can't see through.
I think that's the cell tower. Because if you see where the bocce ball courts are and we
Oh,
walk
yeah,
over,
it is.
that's the cell tower, and he's putting those hedges in front of what the cell tower is supposed to be, having the greenery. So I would like to see the cell tower people put up the trees that they're supposed to and possibly get rid of this hedge because that's gonna be another area for these.
Well, I think that we should contact them because it looks terrible right now, and the trees have all died or all brown and everything. I'm sure they would maybe update that.
I think that would probably resolve that area. I guess I'd like to see the trees, a couple trees anyway, on the west side of the playground. They can squeeze them in there.
So if we move it, they could probably put some of those on the west side.
So I just think of redesign of the landscape. I mean, minimize, we don't really need a whole deciduous hedge. Maybe a couple bushes to screen the dumpster or something like that. Or maybe even at a future point, talk about an enclosure.
But I think he's looking for, like some really, how would you say, for like, what do we want?
Well, I think we need some landscaping. I mean, I wouldn't want it to be completely sterile. So minimizing the landscaping. I'd like shade in the seating areas. I'd like to see seating around the pickleball and the bocce courts. And maybe the horseshoe. So there's no fence around the playground. It's just like a border.
Yeah, I was looking at that, you're right, it's just a border, it's not a fence. I thought that ornamental fencing also went into the play area, but his arrows is just around the fence line.
Okay. I wondered about that. Yeah, I think minimalizing the landscaping where it makes sense for the sun, shade. If there's any specific screening, I don't think we need all these trees along Rochester Road.
So how about, are we going to leave the two corner ones and take out two in a row? I mean, he really needs some lead here, otherwise we're gonna go back and forth.
How many feet is that?
I would say leave the two end ones and then skip one and do one, skip one, do one, skip one,
every
do
other?
one. Yes.
Okay, so every other? So he has, let's see what he has as far as those go. I guess we're gonna ask somebody who knows the plants and trees. Do these trees make a huge mess, or are they gonna be easy to clean up leaf-wise? Like, what type of tree do we want there? Because we have very limited manpower for maintenance.
I would just put some of these flowering trees like they say right here. And those I don't think are very messy.
Flowering is gonna be down here.
I think those are smaller ornamental
Yes.
around here, so
Just for the
Colin's talking
entrance.
about this line. I think he left that just as some type of deciduous.
I wouldn't put a lot of trees up there, and the little leaves would just go into the bocce ball and,
Right.
so I would just,
Do we want evergreen, or do we wanna get rid of the trees?
I wouldn't put evergreen in there either.
Okay,
I think the evergreens, I like evergreens because they block it a little bit, but I'm thinking they'll get too big where it takes up too much space.
That's what I'm saying, even the flowering trees up there would look nice.
What about those, I think they're called arboreums? They stand about this tall and they're like pyramid,
Arborvitaes,
those.
those are deer candy.
Yeah, the deer.
Oh,
those two.
okay, forget it.
all I see is a lot of leaves on these.
I think the leaves are small and they blow away though, and if so we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 along
We'll have
there.
5.
Yeah. Leaves.
Hey Bruce, can I ask if I can
Nobody will take care of them.
get my thoughts in order here? Starting at Rochester Road, every other tree, starting with the middle ones, going down bocce ball courts stay just like they are. Going to the right, you got the two pickleball courts. Next to the pickleball courts is a volleyball court.
Yep.
Okay. Going south of that or going below the pickleball courts have seating so people can relax and sit. I can only see the 3 across, the 2 pickleball and 1 at the volleyball. can't get anything in the bocce ball area.
Well, what about the areas where we eliminated the trees? Can't we put like benches along there?
Yeah, okay, we could do that. Where there's every other, we could put benches there so they could watch.
Do we want that many benches? 1, 2, 3, 4, so it'll be 4 benches?
There's never enough seating in any park, so I think, and we could even put a bench right there too.
We don't have to put the ones we're using in our cemetery. We could find just good old benches from Home Depot. You know, just something
Well,
to sit
We're gonna
down.
We
see
wanna get
what we
the-
like that. So 4 benches at the top, okay, keep going.
And then going on down, Lori's idea, shifting the kids, I'm gonna call it the balloon, shifting the balloon at the top to the clockwise, so the bottom would stay the same, but the little curl around. Linda's idea, eliminating some of the trees, but put some on the other side. Now the balloon is now moving on the other side. Put a couple of trees there,
Can we stop?
and then going on down.
Can we ask Linda how many trees? Do you want 3 trees on the west side or 2 trees?
I think the trees should be, I think 3, it should be screening the seating area.
So 2 trees on the opposite side.
Am I reading this right, that there's seating area in the middle of the 2?
It looks like it.
It looks right next to the, what do you call it?
Right in the middle between the
Right.
2-year-olds and the olders, looks like
And then the
seating.
splash pad, there's seating, yeah.
Okay, so going on down, nothing changes with the older kids, but the 2-year-olds again shifted. The trees are coming out on the right side, and 3's going in on the left. Going on down, Bruce has got to check with the DNR on the splash pad.
Splash pad's over here. So
What's this?
that's the entrance, that's this fancy
Okay,
entrance.
this is the splash pad right here,
The
right?
splash pad, let's say if we don't do the splash pad, then we're gonna angle it, like Lori was saying.
Yeah.
If we do the splash pad, it might have to stay as is.
But
Why is that?
irregardless,
I thought you didn't wanna run it from the well that far.
Oh, that doesn't make.
That
any
doesn't
difference.
matter?
No.
So move it no matter what?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's,
Okay, so then this is all gonna be shifted.
but before we do anything, Bruce has got to check with the DNR to see if it's even,
well, no.
Yeah,
the
but
health
the design.
But health department,
Yes,
not
but
the
the
DNR.
design can stay the same.
design stays the same.
Yeah, so we'll just move it.
Can I
Hold
just
it.
add a comment?
Yeah.
So are you suggesting that the volleyball court be directly next to the pickleball? So
That's what I
instead-
was thinking.
Well, is that gonna be really tight there, or do we have that much
Well,
room?
once we move this, as it stood right now, Mike said we had room to put it here. If we move this peanut shade to go over here, it's not going to fit there. He
Well, my
might
concern-
have to angle it going this way instead of north and south. He might have to do east and west.
Because if you're gonna put it that close to the road, you're probably gonna need to put up a bigger fence.
Yeah, but if this peanut is moved, it should fit going this way.
So it would be east and west?
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought you were saying,
Yeah, I was looking at it right next to the
We
pickleball.
were, but it's not gonna fit if
Won't
we
fit.
switch it over, I don't think. I mean, if he can make it fit, that's fine, but I'm guessing just by eyeing it, it's gonna go underneath
You can
it.
have
I
mine.
mean, it's a little clustered there with the bocce and the pickleball. Maybe they could be spread out a little bit.
I think it's just hard to follow the conversation.
I think he did that in case we wanted another pickleball court in the future, so that we could expand it. Otherwise, if we wrench this out, there's no room to expand it. So if pickleball stays really popular, you might
So
want that.
what about pickleball further east, the 2 courts further east, and leave that center space open to either adding on there?
Well, I think we're gonna have to add another pickleball court eventually.
I do too.
Yeah.
So it's like we might as
Or
well.
should we just look at putting 3 across there and?
I don't.
But I would like to see if he can fit the volleyball in though first, and then if he can, see the third pickleball.
So I guess I'm not seeing where we're putting, so are we putting the volleyball court right there, or that was the?
Well, that's where he said it, apparently
Pauline,
that it would go.
You might need to
or
check with
shift
him. This
the play
double
area
line
here.
goes around the play area.
Mhm.
Okay.
That definitely looks like they had intended to put a fence, that he just didn't mark it, because
There's no
that's,
gate.
I
it
thought
looks
so
like that
too. I
cement
thought
that
it
goes
was
into
a
it would
fence.
go, it breaks right there, see it? It looks like it would be just not a gate, but just open. The way he's got that cement walkway, and it turns, and it just stops right there. And to me, it looks like his intent was to put a small kid barrier so the kids won't run away and the 2-year-olds won't run into the pickleball area or somewhere else because of.
I'll ask, because I'm just not seeing it on
If you see
the
that,
design
if you
anymore.
follow the cement going down, and then when it turns into the play area, you'll see both of those double lines turn into one single line.
But see how it says right up here, 12-foot wide playground concrete edging. So I thought that was a fence too, but then when I read that, I think it's just the edging to keep all of the
Okay.
materials
Okay.
inside. So I don't think it is a fence.
I have one more question, maybe Bruce can answer. Where's the fire station septic field?
Up front.
Okay.
Right under the splash zone.
And then, Ed, were we gonna get rid of this flowery?
Yeah,
bush?
because that one right there brought in a lot, we talked about it, it's gonna be a brief bee haven.
And we're gonna get rid of the educational pollinator garden, eliminate?
That's what I heard.
So can I ask one more question? So in this, and I gotta find it, he has on here, wood fiber playground surface includes drainage. Do we want the wood fiber playground surface? Or
Is wood fiber translated into mulch?
Yeah.
I need to ask him that one, but I think a lot of the newer areas are putting in like the ground tire or some type of a plastic. I don't know if it's gonna be cost prohibitive, but
It's recycled rubber.
tires,
Yeah.
yeah. So are we leaning towards asking what the price would be for that as well? Or do we like the mulch? Or
I think
what?
the mulch is on the landscaping. I think the,
No, go down, Lori, to that end, amenities, wood fiber playground surface includes drainage. So that's the stuff that's going inside underneath the playground equipment.
right.
That's when
I
your
don't
kid
think
falls
that's
in love.
mulch. I think that's that hard surface stuff.
Wood fiber playground surface, okay.
Well, for that price, that's not mulch.
If you go to,
But it could be those thick pieces of wood, like, a lot of the schools still have that. I don't know, we'll ask them.
yeah.
So I'm gonna ask them about that, ask, and then ask what the rubber is. Okay.
Okay? You have enough to go on right now? Then come back next month?
Yeah, I think,
Was there any issues with the water pressure for the splash pad?
There was if we were gonna put in a big water park, okay? But
this is kind
the water pressure that we have over here by the fire department is more than adequate to do what we want, because that's what they fill the tankers with. So we do have enough water pressure, definitely for the small one.
There's a township in Lapeer County that actually put one of these in, and he says it is just so much fun to watch the little kids go out there and play in that. And then I've also been to one in Grand Haven, they have one. And it is, it's just a lot of fun to watch the kids because they really can't go swimming yet. So it's a way for the little kids to enjoy the water. So that's kind of why I like that.
How big is it? Is there a diameter?
No, that I couldn't tell you. Because when Bruce was explaining it to him, he just had a small one that just shoots up so that the kids run through it. And then you can see some of the little kids where they actually step on it and try to stop it.
Like
So
the
it's
ones they
just
have at Hurt
cute.
Plaza?
Pardon?
Like the ones down at Hurt Plaza? That shoot
Yeah,
us?
well, the ones I see, they go in different
I
patterns.
mean, obviously
and the
not
kids
as
run
large.
around. Yeah, so it's probably the same.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But shooting up out of the,
Yeah, they're
Okay.
just little ones, and
Yeah.
the kids run around and try to
Yeah.
stop it, or they try to figure out where the next one's gonna shoot
Okay.
out. It's just really cute for the
When
kids.
they want to use it, there's just a thing, you push a hand button and it goes on, and then 15 minutes and it shut off.
okay.
So.
Right, so it's not always constantly running. If
Okay.
there's no use, it just automatically turns it off.
I've got a couple more questions, Bruce. It's just, when are we gonna be doing this, once we get everything done next year?
The grant,
Yeah, go ahead, the grant opens up shortly. Go ahead.
it hasn't even been posted on the website, and that's why I really wanted to get a jump start on this. So it's based on the Spark grant, which was money that the federal government gave. So they're gonna have 22, 23, and 24 is the years that they're going to give away money. So I wanted to get into the first round so that hopefully we can get this. The maximum grant for these are $1 million, so we're under the million. It does state that we need a site plan, doesn't state with the application or after the application, so I will find that out as well. But our guys can do a site plan relatively quick. So I think, I don't know about everybody, I was hoping to get as much as this done so that when they actually say applications are ready and available, we can start on it.
Is this something that's gotta be done within the month or
No.
in July? Can we wait till like August to
Sooner the
do
better.
some?
Well, I had a little update at the supervisors meeting. There's 3 criteria. It's a new park, refurbish a park, or add to a park, okay? And that's basically it. And it's a minimum of $100,000 and a maximum of $1 million. So you can get in there and they have a lot of money. So the bottom line is, if we have something that is pretty much approved, then I would try to get it in, as soon as we can.
Okay.
So if we were to put a concept in, that we would have to stay with just that, or can we modify it?
You can modify once it's submitted, but they're gonna
Follow this.
kind of want you to stick to it because you're gonna have a site plan, so how often do you change a site plan once you
I don't know,
approve it?
just thinking how well done it needed to be.
That's what I'm gonna ask, do we have to do a site plan immediately, or can we come back with the conceptual plan? I think our chances are better off the more information that we give. And the 2022 grants, they have yet to put them up, so it kind of tells you that you're only gonna have a few months to apply, because 2022, we're gonna be in 2023 before you know it. So that's kind of why we're pushing this along, so that we can get in on the 2022. It did say that if we are not approved, we can withdraw this application, find out why we were not approved, and reapply in 2023. But if we are approved in 2022, then I would imagine we can go forward with other parks. The watershed park needs items too.
All right, so one last comment on the optional play fountain. I think it needs to be like breast colored bricks
Yeah, okay.
or stone.
Yeah, I
Maybe
agree.
go with that.
I agree.
So what action do we need to take?
Pardon?
I said, is there any action we need to take at this point?
Well, what I'm looking for, I guess, is a motion to go forward with this, and I'd like to have PEA probably do the design of this, because when you present this, it's gonna be up to the trust fund, and I've been up there already. I don't like to go in with all this hullabaloo like all the other people. I like to come in with a very simple, that's how we got the Lake George grant. Rod Blazak and I went up, and it was a very simple presentation. Everybody else had all these full-blown architects there, and they spent thousands on it. We had about 4 or 5 5x7 pictures, and we ended up getting our grant. So I would like them to do it, but I'd like to have us review it and keep it semi-simple, so that, because, if you put something like this thick out there, nobody looks at it. You gotta be able to, go up there and present it. And like I said, I've been up there and I saw how everybody does professional stuff, and it's just too much, it's overwhelming. Whereas if you go in and tell them exactly what you want and make it simple, we went from 130 to not even being in the ballpark of getting a grant to actually getting the grant. So,
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the changes that we've made tonight. I believe Pauline and you both have good notes on it. I'm watching you both writing them down. And moving forward with it using PEA as the design.
not to exceed maybe $5,000 to have them do the design.
Oh, right, not to exceed 5,000 for
So
PDA.
we already approved them to do the design. What we would be looking for is grant writing,
Yes,
up to 5,000.
I think Pauline should do the grant writing for
that's
If
a
it
tough one.
fell in August, I would be happy to, but right now is election, so yeah, I kind of have
that.
to back
People with cheap
down.
excuses.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Because I loved it. I love doing grant writing, but
being that that we have an opportunity and being that there is money available and everything, I think we need to not, we need not to let this one slip
So-
by. So I would
it
say
goes
it's
into
worth
the, it goes
the
into the
investment.
funding. It's covered.
Okay.
But can I, as motion is out there, can I ask a question though? So we have a lot of changes that we're gonna tell Mike about. And we're gonna authorize them to do the grant up to 5,000. But the board would like to see this come back again, or did the board just want us to send them the updated designs? Like, what's the pleasure of the board on that?
Personally, I'm fine with the notes that you've written. It looks like it's cut and dried.
So if the grant opens up, it's okay just to?
That's why I went from the
Okay.
top to the bottom,
Gotcha.
breaking it down to exactly what we were thinking about. The only question was the splash pad. We gotta get with the health department, and if the health department says go for it, everything's good, I'm fine with it.
And we can delete it.
And so is my grandkids.
Okay, I will support your motion.
Okay, anybody have any other questions? Okay, roll call please.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Larry Fisher.
Yes.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item number 3, cemetery ordinance review and authorize a public hearing. Pauline, of course, is in charge of the cemetery, and she's added a few things on here. Did everybody see what was added or what we're looking at? You want to highlight the couple changes you put on? One was how many cemetery plots you can buy now? Because
So this is the second time out for the township board looking at it. After the first review, I took the changes, and Lori, that was a great suggestion to just cover in case somebody had young children passing. So that's been incorporated. It was sent over to legal. He went through everything, and this would be the final draft. He went through and approved everything as worded. So I was bringing this back to the board for input to make sure that they're comfortable. It also is showing you the public hearing notice for the township when we're ready to do that. And Karen had wanted to see what a resolution would look like adopting it. And then, as you can see, this resolution, it's adopting an ordinance once we have our public hearing, but it only addresses the in-ground burial spaces because we have yet to finalize the columbarium. So then what would happen, let's say if this is advertised in July or August, if we pass the ordinance is then in place, and then once the columbariums are ready and set to sell, we come back with a new resolution establishing the prices for those. Does that make
How many
sense?
spots are in the calendariums?
98.
Total.
96. Well, no, you can put up to 2 in each one, so of course that,
Each space for sale, total that we'll have. It could be
98 or 96.
per columbarium or,
so that, what, times 5? Is that, or?
Yeah, because we were gonna be shy of under 500.
Okay, any questions? I'll look for a motion, authorize the clerk to schedule a public hearing for the 22-1 cemetery ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Motion. We have a motion and we have a second?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, roll call please.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes. Okay, that passes. Now we're on to, I believe it's the, it's just the cemetery, the gazebo brick pavers. Item number 4, possible order. They, apparently they came in and said that we should change the brick pavers at the gazebo for $5,300. They thought it was a good idea to try to match everything. I don't think it's really necessary that we match the brick pavers to the gazebo, to the columbariums, but it's up to anybody's pleasure. I think it's far enough away that, you know.
So it's this right here. So we ordered red all through here, and they're saying that it's not gonna match.
My thoughts on it is that gazebo probably needs to be updated in the future, and we can do all that then.
I'm satisfied with what it is.
I'm fine.
I'm good.
So as far as we're concerned, well, it's an agenda item. Do we need to make a motion? Just leave it as it is?
We can do no action, or I can make a motion to keep the, I'll just do it so that it's on record. I'll make a motion to keep the pay by the gazebo as is.
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. Roll call, please.
Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, that passes. Move on to item number 5.
Wait, leave before E.
Where are we at?
Leave before E. Sorry.
Which one is that one now?
This is the one that everybody received quite a few emails today.
Oh, for the benches. Is that right?
Yes.
If I remember right, the benches are okay now. After we review them, they're the same, they're gonna be the same dimension, even if we moved them to the end of the columbarium. So, well, you had contact with the people who installed it, and they think there's plenty of room, right?
Yeah, Susan was at first concerned, but when Matt went through and gave her a new diagram, she sees that there is still movement, so she's not as concerned anymore. So if you can see what Matt sent us, if we move the benches to the back, there's 3 feet as far as movement goes from the columbarium, versus if we keep the benches where we originally want them, there's 3 feet, 0.3 inches as far as movement goes. Susan was very concerned that the benches where they're located would hinder the movement. So now it's more or less, do we want to keep them as we approved them for site plan, or did we want to move 4 of them so that they had a choice to either look out into the cemetery versus looking at the wall? Because the movement is there now, so we don't really have to do anything.
I'd make a motion to leave them as we originally designed them.
No second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Not hearing any. Could we have roll call on that, please?
Yes. Jacob Newby.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and that passes. Okay, now I can move on to number 5, right?
Sorry.
Just checking. Okay, the Leonard Summer Festival Committee requested if we could participate with the portable restrooms to the tune of $500. I will say that we have been contributing to them all along for many years, and we always contribute $500. I would just like to up it a little bit to $600. I do notice, I think they came in at $690. So our residents all go to the Strawberry Festival, and I think with inflation and everything, I think that we should just up it a little bit. That's my opinion. But
I agree.
I agree. Let's
I
give
agree.
them, I'd like to make a motion to approve Leonard's Summer Festival Committee request for $600 as partial reimbursement for portable toilets from the community projects account.
Support?
And we have support. Any comments? Roll call on that, please.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes?
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Linda Garrett.
Yes.
Jacob Moody.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and that passes. Now we're on number 6. As you know, we're gonna recap and grind all of the parking lot, and we're gonna recap it, restripe it and everything. That's gonna, I think they can get it all done in one day. I think it's kind of dangerous, given have the employees come in here during that day because of all the heavy equipment going back and forth, and it's even more dangerous for, I think, the residents to be coming in that day. So what I'd like to do is close the township offices for the employees, and of course, it's not at their fault, it's because we're doing maintenance, so I think they should get paid for that. And I'd like to just ask, it happens to take 2 days, that 2 days would be the maximum. But I don't think that we should be open. I don't want anybody getting hurt, because I know they got, and plus the smell is terrible when they're doing asphalt. So I think we should close it. I tried to get it to be done on the weekend, but as you know, asphalt plants are done generally during the week, and so they picked Wednesday, and which is kind of good, because then if there is rain or whatever, they can do it Thursday or whichever, and the asphalt plants are still open. So that's my suggestion. Anybody have any comments?
How does this, I'm sorry. I was gonna ask how the sheriffs are gonna get out. Will they be able to park over there?
They have the grass area farther over.
We should notify the public somehow, other than just being on the website. Is there any signage that we can put
We're gonna
on?
have
Put
to
it right
put
in.
cones. We're gonna actually have to close the parking lot down.
We could put a sign where the fire department is, you know, where it's right now, it could be closed on these 2 days.
On that,
Everybody drives by
changeable
it.
message sign?
Yeah. Everybody
Do
drives
we
by
have
and sees
access
it.
to that? I didn't think so.
We could probably
We'll
just
work on that.
make signs for out there. They're not-
Maybe we post something.
Lori could be out there with a flag and an orange vest.
Yeah.
She's already got that
Not when that
stuff.
smell comes, though.
Okay.
I think we're using our ARPA funds very wisely, and this is part of doing business. I authorize the closure of the township with pay for up to 2 days, or as determined by the supervisor for the paving of the parking lot project.
Second.
Okay, well, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not hearing. We have roll call, please.
Lindgar.
Yes.
Lori Fisher.
Yes.
Ed Brightfield.
Yes.
Jacob Moody.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Supervisor Pearson.
Yes, and that passes. Okay, we'll go on to public forum. Anybody in the public would like to speak? If you do, please come forward and just state your name. Anybody in the public? Okay, not hearing any. Addison Township Board, any of you have reports from the board?
No. CBA is doing fine.
Yeah, well, we had over 1,400 cars come for the Oxford cleanup, and that was a good one, so. Yeah.
I had a lot of
participation.
calls on that, so I'm glad that we have enough. We have 2 more this year, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, well, I'll mention something in the supervisor's report, but I won't do it at this time. I don't know more than I know. But any communications?
Yes, we did receive one from Robert G. Schramm, and it's concerning the trash removal service. And he has 4 points bulleted throughout his letter. This letter is available at the township for review or to look at.
Okay, and then we'll go to the supervisor's report. The roads are a little bit better. I've been in contact. I go up and meet with the road commission guy all the time, with our new foreman, and he's really trying hard. And Jason is his name, and so I am meeting him at all the bad spots and everything, and at least we got the roads a little bit better. I mean, this is one of the worst years. We've had some bad years, but this one seems to be worse, and I do understand that they're having staffing problems and all kinds of medical problems, but I sure hope it gets better, because it's a topic of conversation with all the supervisors right now, and And I do know that there's something afoot that they want to change turn the road commission over to the county commissioners. And I don't know if that's the answer or not, but apparently there's a lot of people that aren't satisfied. So hopefully with this new foreman, that maybe we'll get what we need done. We don't ask for a whole lot in this township, so, but we do need a few improvements. I will say, just an update, Ed and I are on the NODA, which is the North Oakland Transportation Authority, and I just want to let everybody know how really important this is. Last year, in 2021, they did 34,617 rides. That's remarkable. We probably have the best transportation system in Oakland County, and the west side of Oakland County now has copied it's called WODA, or NODA for north, and they're WODA for west. And they've copied our whole system, and because we were so successful, and now they are successful. I just want to say that our residents in 2021, just in Addison Township alone, our seniors and disabled people and low income, they got 2,600 rides last year. So I just wanted to bring up that our money is well spent. You know that we have a $0.25 That means 25 cents for every $1,000 that your house is taxed. So I'm just explaining that we get our money back tenfold, okay, because our seniors need to go to their medical appointments and their hospital treatments and their dialysis, and the disabled need to get to work. My son is a prime example. He's disabled, and he has had a job now for 3 years and hasn't missed a day of work because of NODA. So anyways, and already since January and county May, I think NODA has already given 15,306 rides already. So that's remarkable. I don't think anybody else can even match the service. This is from your front door to your job, or from your front door to your medical appointment or doctor's office or hospital. I don't think anybody can match that service. So anyways, I just want everybody to know that Ed and I have been on that board, and if you ever want to take a tour of the new authority we have, we bought a building on Gillespie in Oxford, and it's completely revamped, and our vehicles are inside now. It's a remarkable building, and let us know. We'll give you a private tour. But other than that, that's all I had to say. I just wanted to update people, because sometimes people don't know where their money goes. And for 25 cents for every 1,000, anybody in Addison Township who is disabled, elderly, or low income can get a ride, and we make sure that it's available. And I can't think of many communities that can say that. Anyways, other than that, that's all I have to say. I'm looking for a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion, we adjourn.
Everybody wants to stay, is that
I'll
what it is?
support.
Oh, we have support now. Okay. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are now